When I was a boy, I sound like an old man when I'm saying this, which I am. When I was a boy, I went to a very ordinary primary school. It was in what was then described as a working class area. Every boy in that class, and there's a class of 40 to 50, every boy in that class was numerate and literate. And we knew this because you had to perform in front of everybody else. You had to read something, you had to go up to the blackboard and work out something, and if you didn't, you were in trouble. And every boy was literate and numerate. Now we know from what's happening in the schools that there's a significant degree of illiteracy and innumeracy, particularly among boys. And that means that education is not performing very well, and because it's not performing very well and they're short of teachers, they're even thinking of a 4-day week, which probably will only make it worse. But is this lower standard education, which we seem to be paying for in Australia, will that have an economic cost? Will that contribute towards making this country poorer?
Yeah, it could. I'll be honest. The bigger problem I see is, like, that stuff's certainly important, but the bigger problem I see is, back in the 90s, and this started under the Howard government, I believe, Australia made the stupid decision that sending people to university was more important than people doing trades, becoming apprenticeships, or that sort of thing. So the Howard government shut down a lot of the trade schools.
Right.
And it was, in my mind, it's one of the craziest policies we've ever seen. And to top it all off, the Rudd-Gillard government then introduced this demand-driven university education, where basically anyone who wanted to go to university could go to university. And effectively what we've got is we've got this situation where we've got ginormous skill shortages in the trades, like in areas where, and I'd argue that people doing trades and that sort of thing are actually more practical than most university people. Like, they actually do real work. So we don't have enough of them, but we've got an overabundance of people with university degrees, which I'd argue a lot of them are rubbish, to be quite frank. And this current government, Jason Clare, the education minister, he set a target for 55% of young people to go to university. Why? Why do we need that? Like, we've already got over 40% with a bachelor degree. Why do we want 55%? University is great for some certain professions, and some people, to a certain extent, university is great. You obviously want an engineer to have gone to university. You want a podiatrist. My wife's a podiatrist, to have gone to university to learn that. But there are a lot of generalist degrees where, we've got literally thousands and thousands of people doing these generalist degrees that don't, to be quite frank, offer much. And then we've got this credential inflation whereby, jobs in the past, you could have someone with a high school diploma, and if they showed a bit of aptitude, you'd employ them. But now for even entry-level jobs, we're now requiring people to have degrees, which is just stupid. So it's a big waste of resources in that we're sending a whole bunch of people to do university degrees that, quite frankly, a lot of them don't have much value and they're not as good quality as they used to be. At the same time, we don't have enough people doing real work, like trades, apprenticeships, that sort of thing. So we've got a huge shortage in that area. And it's just, everything's back to front. And this current government wants to make it even worse. They want to increase the share of people going to university to 55%, which is already way too high. We've got way too many people with university degrees who are underemployed and doing menial jobs, and not enough people doing trades like real work. And the whole thing is, it's fine. If you want to go to university and you're academic and and that's what you want to do, that you should be able to do that. But there's a whole bunch of people that end up going to university when really they should be doing other stuff, like vocational education, a trade, that sort of thing. And they'd be far more useful to the economy, and it costs a lot less to actually train them than a lot of these courses. And it makes you wonder, is the federal government doing this because they realise if you send people to university, they become more left-wing, right? More, woke, if you want to use that term. And is it a way for them to basically increase their support base? I don't know, but it doesn't make sense. And the whole shutting down of trade schools and this whole notion that trades aren't worth as much as a university degree, and we need to send people to university, is just so back to front, and it's been incredibly damaging to Australia, I believe.